From the day we start learning the alphabet, everyone around us has already started talking about what jobs we'd be best suited for. You may have wanted to be an Optimus Prime from the Transformers when you were 5, but life doesn't always go as planned. In fact, for some of us, choosing a career is one of the most important decisions we'll make in our lives. But this looks very different in the gig economy. There are daily wagers, contract workers, and the contractors that hire them. They all work on the daily, not knowing where their next job will come from. None of this is easy if it's not organized. In many cases, daily wagers are treated like second-class citizens and are paid very low wages. This is unfair to blue-collar workers, especially when they're an essential part of our society. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And so we need a fair and dignified process to allow for ease of access to jobs, fair compensation, and humane work environments. This can help avoid exploitation and make it easier for everyone involved, especially the next $500 million.
The next $500 million, or the NHB, are the core of this podcast. They represent the second big wave of internet users in India, hence the term next. We define them as the cohort of 500 million first-time internet users who have come online via mobile phones in 5 years. From a demographic standpoint, they are mainly from the bottom 60% of India's income distribution. They are owners of small businesses like beauty salons and kirana shops, and also blue-collar workers, domestic workers, security guards, etc. They are building a greater comfort with tech and represent the hustle and ambition of an aspiring India. I'm Utsav, an ex-engineer, market researcher, traveler, and podcaster.
And I'm Nivedita, an ex-engineer turned comedian and writer. And you're listening to Smartphone Nation, how the next $500 million are shaping their future online. In today's episode, we talk about how technology is making navigating contract jobs easier and safer for both contractors and contract workers. So Utsav, have you used the internet to find jobs and other opportunities?
Of course I have. It's 2024. If you're not on the internet or not using technology to broaden your horizons on the professional front, I'd say you're missing out. I became a podcaster because the internet made it so much easier for me to access the opportunity.
I agree. Other than my first job that I got through college placements, every other opportunity I've received in my life is because of the internet, especially stand-up comedy. The art form wouldn't even exist on the scale it does today if comedians couldn't find their audience over the internet.
And technology has birthed the creator economy. Today it is much easier to put out your content and find an audience. The era of gatekeeping is gone. Everything seems way more accessible now. Big dreams don't seem out of our reach anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's debatable, but we could say that the internet has created a level playing field. Although there's a long way to go in bringing people with lower incomes the same opportunities, a day where everyone has equal access to a better life isn't unforeseeable.
And that's why using technology to further improve access to safe and reliable blue-collar jobs is the need of the hour. The blue-collar workforce in India comprises around 300 million workers, accounting for over 85% of the country's total workforce. Out of this, the construction sector is a major employer of blue-collar workers in India. However, the sector is plagued by low productivity and poor safety standards.
It is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Contract workers are not secure. The top concern is the exploitation of contract workers in the workplace. A contract laborer has minimal bargaining power and social security and is often employed in a hazardous industry with fewer amenities and security. We spoke to Sarvesh Kanodia, a director at Omidyar Network India, an impact investment firm with a focus on the next $500 million. Here is what he had to say about the challenges faced in the sector.
So there are challenges both for the workers and the companies, including the SMEs. On the worker side, both the skilling and the job sourcing ecosystem is broken today. So workers are first of all unaware of what skills would be most appropriate for them to train on and where they could get trained in the first place. There's also a lack of availability of quality skilling providers. As a result, most of them get trapped in a low skill, low paying job. On the company side, they actually find it difficult to source skilled talent. They typically have to rely on offline small contractors who lack the wherewithal to sort of filter for skills. And as a result, they spend both time and money to find the right workers. However, in spite of that, they would, pay low attention to improve their overall, working condition, won't focus on upskilling or focus on their well-being, which results in, from a worker perspective, a lack of motivation, behavioral issues, and the attrition of these workers.
It's no secret that the working conditions for blue-collar workers in India are not at the level they should be. We are a long way from timely payments, fair living wages, and safe work environments. Nor is there access to skill development. According to a recent report by the World Economic Forum, India needs to skill or upskill over 400 million workers by 2030 to meet the demands of the changing economy. The report also highlights that the demand for skilled blue collar workers is expected to grow by 25% over the next decade.
There's clearly a lot to tackle here. In the informal segment, workers are hired by small labor contractors who deprive these workers of social security benefits. The cost of social security benefits is covered by the contractor from the company, but are hardly ever paid to the workers. Workers are housed in unsanitary conditions and do not receive their wages on time. They also lack access to formal financial services, and as a result, there's a propensity for them to borrow from informal sources at a very high cost, and that further hurts their household finances. They're stuck in an unproductive loop.
Okay, so we've established that there is a problem, but how is it being tackled? Other than, of course, a number of government initiatives to promote blue collar skilling, such as Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and the Skill India Mission. And the labor laws protecting workers like the Minimum Wages Act ensures fair and timely wages. Social security schemes provide workers with much needed financial protection. But how can tech help?
Allow me to introduce you to Project Hero, a construction tech company building for India's $63 billion construction labor market. The Project Hero platform provides construction workers direct access to high-paying jobs, training, and access to financial products and services. But before we get into it, let's take a short break. Welcome back to Smartphone Nation. Project Hero was started by co-founders Satyavyas Pukhraj Grewal and Raghu Chopra, all IIT Roorkee graduates. But before starting the company, they ran a general contracting company for over 5 years. They had no prior experience in construction and started it from scratch. So this is where they experienced problems like project delays and mismanagement due to labor and subcontractor-related issues firsthand. The knowledge and insights they got from the industry is what helped them build the idea for Project Hero. We spoke to Satyavyas, one of the co-founders of Project Hero, about how they ensure the safety of laborers, and this is what he had to say.
We be very, very transparent about it with the contractors as well and with the workers as well. So, the role that we want to play in this is that, a lot of times, a lot of information is lost because there is no medium to communicate that information, right? So if I'm a worker, I'm in some remote village of Bihar or UP, and I am looking to apply for a job in Maharashtra or Karnataka, let's assume Bangalore in Karnataka, right? In that scenario, I don't even know if the contractor is going to give me basic amenities in terms of accommodation, in terms of sanitation, in terms of how many people are working already there or not. Am I going to get my basic social security like ESI or PFs and all that? So what we do is that we take all that information from the contractors. They put it as a part of their listing, and it goes to the workers, and the workers can actually see the photos, they can see the amenities, they can see the social security provisions that are provided by the contractor, and then take an informed decision. While on the contractor side, we tell them that, look, here are a list of 5 things that if you don't do, the number of people that are going to apply on your job will fall by, let's say, 20% or 30%. So there's a lot of data on top of the transparency that we are trying to build, right, on both sides, which helps people to take an informed decision while applying for a job. And it also helps the contractors to kind of make that rich listing and also provide the amenities, because at the end of the day, they also want workers to get the work done.
Project Hero not only has a robust rating system where the workers can rate the contractors and vice versa, but they also make sure payments are timely. Something Guddu Yadav, who has used Project Hero, can vouch for. Guddu was introduced to Project Hero through a camp that the company set up in 2021 after he had lost his job during the pandemic. He got a job as a shuttering carpenter through the platform.
I used to work as an electrician, but that failed. Then I made a listing asking for work after the lockdown, but I wasn't able to get any. I went to 2 to 4 thekedars, but if you would work with them, then there was no guarantee on when you would get your payment. Then I checked Project Hero, and I realized I will be able to get work through this permanently. I needed a job at that time, and any job would do.
Guddu also told us how Project Hero made work easier for him.
Project Hero would tell us which contractor to go for, and they would also tell us which one is authentic and which one is, a scam. One of the good things about this is that I get my salary on time.
Despite all the precautions that are taken, grievances may occur. And we asked Satya if they solve that. Here he is again.
We have a dedicated helpline for the workers right now, and we are building a helpline for the contractors as well. So, a lot of use cases come to us where, people come and tell that, look, we've applied to this job from Project Hero and we've gotten there, and then we are not, able to get our payment out, right? Then those are the junctions where we intervene on behalf of the workers and we try to mediate the situation. Though it is not our job, but I feel it is our duty to kind of play the role of a mediator there.
The platform ensures that the workers are of high quality, that they are skilled at their job, have a good track record, etc. They do this by incentivizing people to exhibit good behavior and give timely payments and stick onto the project, thereby reducing attrition. All this is digital first. Having credible contractors and workers is the biggest differentiator of the platform. If you're a large contractor and you're looking for workers, you can be sure that the workers on Project Hero have passed a basic threshold of credibility. For example, having the required skill and experience. The network is built such that the people on the platform will display much better behavior compared to what you'll find informally thanks to its rating system. We spoke to Satyavyas about his opinion on the construction sector as a whole and got to know that Project Hero is valuable in more ways than one.
It's very ironical, right? If you look at the construction sector, it's the second largest employer within the country, second largest employer formally, right? If you consider that most of the construction workers are also farmers and farmers are also construction workers, and a lot of data is not even available, pre-COVID levels around, then you would realize that possibly it is one of the largest, if not the largest employer in the country, and it also contributes massively to the GDP and stuff like that. And the irony is that such a large employer doesn't have any employment record for the workers. It doesn't have any quality record for the contractors, right? So it is extremely appalling in that sense. So while the opportunity is very large, it's also very challenging.
Despite it being such a challenging industry to work in, Satyavyas has a positive perspective.
With the tailwinds that this industry is facing now, post-COVID especially, with the massive push around the formalization of the sector, government really going after the, development of the country, all these things, right? An example being e-Shram cards, the enrollments that are happening for the e-Shram cards, smartphone penetration, data becoming cheaper, people transacting online for the first time, during Corona when the services were only accessible online, and it reducing the learning curve for people to, adopt and transact digitally. So all these tailwinds actually point to a direction where if, we are able to execute well at Project Hero, the opportunity becomes extremely, extremely massive. In terms of creating large system of record. Plus, also look at it this perspective. If you have the transaction data, or let's say the employment data for so many workers, right, and contractors, and this audience has been completely underserved in terms of financial services and credit. When this massive audience will become a part of a formal employment sector and also get access to credit and financial services, that will be massive value unlocking.
He's right. This is a big step in the right direction, and one of many people that are making a big difference to the construction space. And our nation builders deserve it, as Satyavyas explains.
I'm sure there are a lot of people like you and me who were, initially unaware of the kind of impact that the construction workers or the contractors and all have, on the country, on us, and how a small worker emanating from a small part of the village is actually helping India become, let's say, a $5 trillion or a $10 trillion economy, right? All the fancy roads, buildings, and all those things that we see, are built by, just a regular worker, with a very limited set of tools and the technical literacy. So I think, one important part of, we also didn't realize till the time we got into this industry, right? Because it's not that we interact with workers or contractors on a regular basis. So one of the things that I would like people to take away from this podcast is that whenever they are seeing anything that is being built, be it a road or a flyover or a metro, just think that there is a lot of hard work and effort that kind of goes into building that kind of a structure.
That's spot on. We do have a tendency to take things for granted. And if we've come so far without technology, imagine where we'll be in the next few decades with all these tools at our disposal. Let's hear from Sarvesh Kanodia again on why Omidyar Network India decided to invest in Project Hero.
India, today has about 50 million workers in the construction industry, and which is about the second largest in terms of employment actually after agriculture in India. When you look at it, there's a general trend of industries which are moving from the informal to the formal workforce, like we were talking about, with many of these reforms being driven by demonetization, GST, PF, ESIC, etc. However, the construction industry workforce is still largely informal. What Project Hero is trying to do is basically build an end-to-end recruitment and workforce management platform to be able to formalize the construction industry workforce. What they're doing is basically going to small towns and villages in UP, Bihar, West Bengal, etc., which actually provide the maximum migrant labor in the construction sector, and they're bringing these workers onto the platform. What they're doing is they're able to match this supply pool against the demand for these workers across the country, and essentially building a two-sided marketplace where the workers will now be able to reach out to the project contractors themselves and be able to apply for the jobs that they want to. If Project Hero wasn't there, they would be dependent again on the local contractors who would typically service only the local demand in that area. Plus, they wouldn't necessarily have any choice on the employer that they could work for. So they are bringing that transparency in the ecosystem, and it's building a scalable model by using technology as part of the entire value chain, right from placement, hiring, monitoring, compliance, etc. And the idea is that if they're successful in doing what they're doing, you become the number one destination for the construction workforce, all of whom are actually from the next half billion segment. And the platform has the potential to reach, hundreds of thousands of these blue-collar workers to find them jobs and, meaningfully improve their livelihoods. There is no scaled player in this segment yet. So if they are actually successful, again, it will demonstrate the fact that the segment is viable and encourage, others to replicate and potentially have a sector-level impact here as well.
I hope Sarvesh is right, and more people are inspired to enter this segment for the right reasons. The future sure looks bright.
Thank you for tuning into Smartphone Nation. I'm Utsav.
And I am Nivedita. This was Smartphone Nation. Tune in next week for another story on how the next half billion are shaping their future online. If you like our show, please subscribe to the Smartphone Nation YouTube channel. Don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share this episode with your friends as it helps the show reach more people.
You can listen and subscribe to Smartphone Nation on the IVM Podcasts app or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is also available in Hindi and Tamil. A special thanks to Omidyar Network India for making this season possible. To know how ONI is partnering with bold and purpose-driven entrepreneurs who are working to improve the lives of India's next half billion, visit omidyarnetwork.in. Tell us what you think of the show. You can find our hosts on Twitter and Instagram. Utsav can be found on the Instagram ID at YWTravel42. You can reach out to Nivedita on Instagram at niv.prakasam. You can follow IVM on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at the ID at IVM Podcasts.
IVM